Well, I remember the football games and the basketball games and the camaraderie we had with the engineering group.
Yeah.
We started with 143 people and we only graduated with 15, so
Wow.
it was those were great memories, and there was a bond with those 15 guys. You know,
Yeah.
we had our own little library.
What building was this in?
The building no longer exists. It was in the Army barracks. There was an Army barracks just if you're facing the library, the left down over the hill, and it was in a T shape, 2 wings and then a front entrance. And 80% of my classes were in that Army barracks.
Wow. And the engineering library?
Well, the engineering library was in that building on the 2nd floor.
Wow.
It was 2 floors. And most of my other classes were in Old Main and the science building.
Any fond memories from those buildings at the time?
Well, I just remember the labs. You had the metallurgy labs, the fluid mechanics labs, and we did our fluid mechanics in the science building in the physics department, because they were the only ones that could accommodate us. And the metallurgy lab was in the Army barracks.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. And we all had, almost all of us had 6 job offers when we left, you know.
Really?
Yeah, because that was right after Sputnik, you know, the first satellite that went in space, and everybody was in a rush to compete with the Russians. And plus we had a really quality engineering school. I mean, when people came in to interview us, ours was a 4-year program, but everyone took 5 years. There was only one guy out of the 15 that graduated in 4.5 years. And some of the guys were there, you know, they had left and then come back, you know. Some would take maybe 6, 7, 8 years, you know, total. It was very difficult courses, and everybody was required to take 18 hours a semester, and it was the total amount of courses you needed to graduate was 144, and but I mean, I took classes, liberal arts, I took philosophy and psychology, and I even had 2 courses in accounting, and so I wanted to be atomic physics and nuclear physics. I wanted to be all around. History class I took.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just the way I did it, and it really paid many dividends.
Really?
Because you were more qualified, and the school at that time was more of a general engineering. You specialized in mechanical or electrical or civil, but because it was that type of school, you got cross-trained in those other areas, and you don't get that in other engineering schools. That's why we had so many hours. See, most engineering schools is 128, more or less, 130, about what a regular degree is. But we had 144, and most guys graduated with over 160.
Wow.
Yeah.
What lessons and skills did you learn during your time at Marshall that helped you?
Lessons?
Yeah.
Well, I learned that you had to work hard, you know, and you weren't going to make it unless you really, you know, worked hard. You know, even the brightest of guys, they'd be in engineering. That was another thing. We had projects over the Christmas holidays and the break, and we would only go home for a couple days because the engineering building was open and we had to do our projects. And if you didn't, you didn't make it. So the professors really put a lot of pressure on us, you know. That's why we went from 143 to start with down to 15 that graduated.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for current and future students?
Well, I think that whatever profession or courses you take, you should cross-train yourself. Like if you're in history or accounting, take courses in other areas. I know you may have to spend another semester or 2, or maybe work through the summer, but it's invaluable, those additional, even if you're in liberal arts, taking other classes. That's why I took courses in accounting. When I went out to work as an engineer, you always do project work where you have to worry about the accounting and the cost. And if you're very skilled in those areas, you're way ahead of the other engineers. And that's why it's a real plus to become diversified. Don't just use the one degree. You know, take other courses. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I would advise.